Our next guest is known as the Nickname Guy. He's always been fascinated by nicknames, and 3 years ago he started the Nickname Project. Today John Leaf is here on The Morning Blend with more on the stories behind the names. It's so great to have you here. Thank you so much. We kind of found you on social media sites, and this is something you've been doing for quite a while.
Yeah, it really is. I started this about summer of '08. And we're sitting in a local coffee shop, and I've always been fascinated by the power of labels and naming. And you know, with nicknames, there's an intimacy to them, and you guys have already hinted on some of those things. I mean,
can you get over all the nicknames in her family?
Every single person has one. I didn't even know my family's names until I was like in college.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, I don't know what Toaster's real name is.
Toaster.
Yeah. Well, you know, I've obviously been doing a lot of research on this, and I actually had somebody tell me that in college, this guy's nickname was Moose, and fairly common nickname. Well, he and his roommate move out of college after they graduate, and they're living together, and the phone rings one day, and this middle-aged woman goes, "Hey, is Tim there?" And the guy goes, "I don't know anybody named Tim," and hangs up. Moose comes around the corner and goes, "Hey, who called?" He goes, "I don't know, some old lady asking for Tim." And he goes, "You idiot, I'm Tim." You know, I mean, these guys literally have lived together for 3 or 4 years, and he honestly didn't know the guy's name.
That's so funny. You tell the stories behind the nickname. Like, there's a guy that you have featured on your website named Wheels.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really one of my favorite stories, and how that story came to me was Jim Stengel, the local Journal-Sentinel columnist, wrote his article about the project a couple of years ago, so the website had a lot of stories submitted to it. Well, Wheels is a guy that lives in Wauwatosa, and back in the day, he was one of those few kids that had a car in high school, so his nickname was Wheels, right? Well, that's kind of the nickname he had back in the day if he had a car. Well, 30, 40 years later, he's up on his roof cleaning his gutters in the fall, and it's raining, and he slips and he slides down the ladder, and he shatters his vertebrae.
Oh, no.
And he's paralyzed from the chest down, and now he's in a wheelchair.
Oh.
And he's Wheels.
And he's still Wheels.
Interesting.
And the great thing about that story is he's not caustic, he's not bitter, he's able to embrace it, and really a cathartic thing for him to be able to even talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, and in that case, I think that's a good story, where it becomes something that he still likes the name, it still works, it kind of, you know, still exists as a nickname that works for him. But what about people who get nicknames and they don't like them? I mean, that happens too, where sometimes those nicknames maybe happen because someone already is in a wheelchair or something like that, and they don't like the nickname that they get, and they're kind of hurtful.
Right. No, that's a great point, and that's a great topic, and that's one of the things that I'm so fascinated about, is it's one of these topics that when you start looking at all the layers that there are to it, it's unbelievable. So to that point, yeah, I mean, you know, you mentioned one, Four Eyes, Fatso. I mean, how do you reclaim a pejorative nickname once you get one? And once it's out there, and especially a lot of these come from the bottom of the pile on the playground, right? And so, you know, we've all been at the bottom of the pile, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, you know, PBSkids.org actually has a section of their website dedicated to nicknames, and trying to enable kids to reclaim a nickname. I mean, it takes a tremendous and terrific amount of self-esteem as an adult, let alone a child, to say, hey, don't call me Fatso. Don't call me Four Eyes. Well, what kid in grade school is going to have enough self-esteem to reclaim that name? And so, you know, as fun as this topic is, and as lively as it is, there's a whole nother level of meaning to it that's just completely fascinating to me.
Well, and you make the point very well, I think, in some of your blogs, that nicknames can define or redirect a person's life. I mean, they can truly shape how you see yourself, regardless of what you see in the mirror, or regardless of the fact that you may be changed. Something interesting is, people often ask you why you have this passion for nicknames, and you write, "I always find myself providing the same simple answer, from within, and that epiphanies like this occur in times of brokenness." For you, being broken as a person has led to some passions and some kind of interesting study, hasn't it?
Yes. You've done some great homework.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know, I was 3 years ago kind of going through a time in my life where, you know, kind of making repairs on your bike while you're riding it, right? And I really do believe that epiphanies occur in time of brokenness, and I was going through one of those times, and literally was sitting at a coffee shop, and have always been fascinated by etymology and onomastics and why words mean what they mean.
Yeah.
And I read something about nicknames, and I realized nobody was a subject matter expert on the topic. I mean, I did some quick research and realized that nobody kind of owned that brand space in the parlance of corporate America, and so I created the website and started writing a book, and the thing just keeps taking on a life of its own. But you're absolutely right. I mean, I think it was really because I was kind of at a period of transition in my life that is really what triggered this whole thing happening. Absolutely.
I think it's great. People can find out more about the Nickname Project that you're running by going to your website. Can they get involved in it? Is it something they can tell their stories to?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a mechanism on the website to self-submit your story, and you know, for your viewers, yeah, I mean, I'm working on a book, and you know, this isn't about me. It's really about the joy of hearing people's stories and the instant intimacy that they create. And so, yeah, if people go to the website and submit their story, you know, the real showstoppers I want to include in the book. I mean, you know, 65% of the nicknames are pretty innocent: Mac, McGregor, Jen, Jennifer. But the ones that have that next level of complexity are really what kind of stir my cocoa.
Yeah,
you know?
stir my
Well,
cocoa.
you're gonna love some
that.
of them that we're getting on our Facebook page. You're gonna have to join in that conversation. Here's also how you can find John Leaf and his project as well. The website is nicknamestories.com, and you can also follow him on Twitter. He's the Nickname Guy.